Hey everybody, this is Andrew Connell, and I wanted to take a minute to talk to you a little bit about the SharePoint conference that's coming up in May 2020 in Las Vegas this year. This is the third SharePoint conference that we've had in the last couple years, well, in the last 3 years. And at this instance of the SharePoint conference, I'm doing a pair of workshops, one on Sunday and one on Monday, and they really go together. Now, of course, you can register for each one of these workshops independently, but have you been looking for a boot camp or a crash course on the SharePoint framework? You're not going to find a better one now. This is a live experience. I've got 2 workshops. The first one on Sunday is all about learning the SharePoint framework and how to customize and extend your SharePoint experience. Now, it really applies to SharePoint Online, but a lot of things we're going to cover, or most of the things we're going to cover, are also going to relate to SharePoint on-premises as well. But everything is going to be encompassed in SharePoint Online. The first workshop that I just talked about here, the developers learn how to extend, how to use the SharePoint framework to customize and extend SharePoint. This is for those of you who have no SharePoint experience, have a little bit of SharePoint framework experience, or who've got maybe you built a couple projects with the SharePoint framework. We're going to start by getting your environment up and running. We're going to see how to build web parts. We're going to see how to build extensions. We're going to see how to get data from external sources using the SharePoint REST API, the Microsoft Graph, or even a third-party API. You're going to see how to leverage external libraries in your project, because in a JavaScript project, it's very rare that we build everything in the project. We're going to use some third-party libraries. Maybe you want to use React. Maybe you want to use moment.js or datefn to do some date manipulation stuff. You're going to learn how to properly do all of that stuff in this workshop. So by the end of the day, you're going to be able to be a proficient SharePoint framework developer. Now, if you really want to go to the next level, come back for day 2 on Monday. Monday's workshop is called Level Up Your SharePoint Framework Solutions for the Enterprise. And what this workshop is all about is taking all the stuff that you learned on day 1, or for people who are just looking at day 2, it's for people who are experienced SharePoint framework developers. And I'm going to focus on 3 main topics. The first topic is around testing. I want to show you how to use the Jest testing framework to test your SharePoint framework projects. You're going to learn how to install it, how to install the dependencies, and set up the configuration for Jest so that you can create your own unit tests that can be run in an automatic way to automatically test all of your SharePoint framework components. You're also going to learn how to leverage a library called Enzyme to test the rendering of SharePoint Framework React-based applications as well, and how you can leverage that in your project. So there's 2 really big things right there, and being able to speed up the deployment or the development of fixing bugs and identifying and being able to fix bugs prior to they get to your customers. And then we're going to dive into how can we automate all of this stuff. I'm going to show you how to leverage DevOps to be able to, every time you do a push to one of your branches, it'll do a build, it'll do all your tests, and then it'll deploy everything into your different SharePoint environments. Maybe you want to learn how to deploy automatically to your integration environment or to your QA environment if you're working on a feature branch or a QA branch or a dev branch, and letting all of your other developer friends and your customers be able to see these changes automatically. So every time you do a push, all of this stuff automatically happens. As a developer, it always is a pain and slows you down when it takes time from building the code and then seeing your stuff actually work. If there's a lot of time in there, it really slows the entire process down. The quicker that you can rev and you can iterate, the better it is for you, the better it is for your customers. Then you're also going to learn how, well, maybe if I'm on the master branch, I want to go straight to production. Or maybe I want to have a little manual switch there that says, well, make sure I have to click approve to manually let it go to production, but still do all those tests and all the building and everything. But as long as everything is green, then we're good. Click approve, watch it go. I'm going to show you how to do all of that stuff with Azure DevOps in the second part of this workshop. And then I'm going to show you how to level up even more. Wouldn't it be nice to have some really good centralized debugging? Well, one of the things that we're going to learn is how we can use Azure Application Insights to collect all of my diagnostic information, exceptions, tracing information, performance about my application, all proactively. You ever had a customer call up and say the web part doesn't work? And then you've got to tell them how to open up the developer tools, how to go run the web part again, how to go look in the network tab or in the JavaScript console. That's ridiculous. Instead, wouldn't it be nice if the customer called up and said, it's broken, and you just said, who are you? And then you just plug their information in, and we're able to see all the telemetry of their user experience. Maybe even be able to drop in some symbols files or some source maps to be able to trace that exception that they got right back to the TypeScript line of code that you wrote. I'm going to show you how to do all of that with App Insights, but I'm going to show you even more. I'm going to show you how to track telemetry on your application so that you can proactively see how people are using your application, or even more importantly, how are they not using your application in the way that you thought that they would. And then you and your customer your sponsor can make edits to the application based on what you see as user interaction with it, to improve the application without having to have users come back and give you any feedback. You can just see it by implicitly looking at what they were doing. And they can give you their feedback by just seeing their actions. I'm going to show you how to do all of that with App Insights, and I'm also going to give you some tips and tricks on how you can make sure that you're not also collecting a bunch of personally identifiable information, or PII, because the last thing we want to do is to show how to track users and how to violate privacy and stuff like that. So I'm going to show you to make sure that you stay away from those hot button issues in many organizations, or like certain regulations and laws like the GDPR out of the European Union. You want to make sure that you stay in good standing with those guys. So these two workshops, again, you're going to learn a ton of stuff about the SharePoint Framework. Show up on Sunday morning, you can learn all about how to build and work for the SharePoint Framework. Show up again on Monday, see how you can level up and become an expert in your enterprise. You're not going to find a better experience for learning the SharePoint Framework in a live experience than you are in these two workshops. But wait, that's not all. A lot of this content is all based on a course that I have, so I've taken a lot of that information from my course, and I'm going to give everybody a cool little opportunity also, if you want, to be able to opt into the course at the very end of both of those workshops, either one or both of them, if you're so inclined. And you're also going to get access to all of the slides and all of the demo code of everything that I do in each one of those different workshops. For whichever workshop that you register for, you'll get the zip with all of that content, and you'll be able to walk away with all of that stuff. These workshops aren't exactly designed to be a hands-on workshop. While you're welcome to try and do it, usually I get a lot of people that show up for these. And for one person to go try and troubleshoot and debug all of these different experiences, never really goes well. So what I've found the best way to do these workshops is, instead, you guys sit back, you've got the slides, you've got the code, just bring your notebook or bring your tablet or bring your laptop, whatever you use to take notes, and just try and learn and absorb everything and see all these different things and be able to open up the code. I'm going to give you access to these zip files at the beginning of the day so that you can download everything and you can follow along, but it's conference Wi-Fi. SharePoint Framework projects, they pull down a lot of dependencies, just be able to run them. Plus, you're going to need access to doing, for like the second day workshop, you're going to need access to a bunch of things up in Azure. This is going to be a lot better if you just sit back, let me do all the demos, and you guys sit back and learn. You've got access to me all day for both days to ask as many questions as you like. I really hope that you consider registering for both of these workshops, and I really hope to see you at the SharePoint conference in May of 2020 in Las Vegas, Nevada.